Thank you very much for joining us. We are having a very insightful conversation with Dr. Suzanne Slonim, the Honorable Lorraine Birabil, and of course, Teressa Phillips. And yes, we're talking about Uterine Fibroid Awareness Month. Now, Dr. Slonim, you ladies are all incredible, dynamic ladies, okay? First of all, tell us
Thank
again,
you.
in case somebody is just joining us, how you came together for this awareness.
Well, it all started when I saw a press release about Kamala Harris advocating for Uterine Fibroid Awareness Month nationally, and I thought we should do that here in Texas. So we reached out to one of the community leaders, Dr. Francois Booker-Drew, and she put us in touch with the Honorable Lorraine Birabil. And Lorraine took it from there and helped us make some other connections. So, Lorraine, why don't you go on?
Absolutely. So with everything and every progress, it's a team effort. So after Dr. Francois Booker-Drew connected Dr. Slonim and I reached out to my former colleague, people call her Miss T, the Dean of the Legislature. She's the longest-serving member, Symphonia Thompson, to recruit her to author this bill and advance it through the legislature, which she did. There were some challenges, but with her support, along with community stakeholders, medical experts, nonprofit leaders, we were able to get it done. They not only recognize the importance of this issue in raising awareness, designating the month as Fibroid Awareness Month, but also the need for additional research and data to advance treatment options for women.
And once the legislation, this is Dr. Slonim again, once the legislation was passed, and now that it's July, as July was coming up, there was a group of women who got together and said, this is Fibroid Awareness Month, we need to do something about it. And it was like a brain trust, all these women brainstorming of things that could be done to raise awareness, and that's how this month is taking shape, and that's how these events have come into action. But most importantly, we want to be spreading the word about fibroid awareness to people who have fibroids or wondering about fibroids or don't know about fibroids, for example, like Teressa Phillips.
Teressa, you are definitely someone who's dealing with this from experience. So, what does awareness from a patient perspective mean to you, Teressa?
It means everything. I'll try to keep it brief, but I'll kind of go into my story. So when my fibroids started becoming problematic, I went to my OB, and I'm like, what is going on? She's like, you have fibroids. And I'm like, okay, what are my options? And she's like, well, you're not having any more children. Just get a hysterectomy. And I'm like, no, I know I'm not having any more children, but that's like a final resort for me, right?
Yeah.
And so, speaking with some of my best friends, one of my great friends who's an attorney, she said, hey, I just watched this panel of physicians and other women speak about fibroids as they relate to Black women. And Dr. Slonim was actually on that panel. And so it was just very eye-opening, things that you don't hear about, that people don't talk about, the correlation with Black women and fibroids and the different treatment options. And so we often hear, hysterectomy, that's your final resort. No, there are so many other treatment options for you. And so in doing my research, I took an entire weekend to bring awareness to myself because I was only being told one thing and decided, to make the best decision for me. Now, that's not for everybody, but in my situation, it worked. And so awareness is everything, just to let women know, specifically Black women, that a hysterectomy is not your only option. There are so many other treatment options available to you. You just have to know what they are, do your research, and pick the one that's best for you.
And that's a very good point because you went through the process, and a lot of times we're trying to figure out exactly what we're supposed to do. And hysterectomy is the first thing we all hear. But Dr. Slonim, I know, gave a lot of good information on that panel.
Yes, she did. I mean, I sat and watched the entire thing, and I was like, wow, I've never even heard of this procedure. So, of course, I go and do my research. I called her office, set up the consultation, and the irony in the entire situation is my OB's office, when they were doing the sonograms, oh, you only have 3 to 4 fibroids. Well, Dr. Sloanum's office sent me for an MRI, and when her and I visited, I actually had way more fibroids than I ever knew about that ranged in size. And so that's why it's so important to be diligent with your research and the provider and what you're doing, because this whole time I was thinking, oh, you just have a handful, only to find out, no, boo, you've got way more. When Dr. Sloanum got past 10, I lost count. So it was very, very eye-opening, and that's why awareness is so important.
Like you said, you lost count after 10, and you think that it could be one way, and then it's actually another way. And Dr. Sloanum you're really good at explaining everything to people and, making us feel comfortable with making this decision, because it's a really big decision.
Well, thank you. I would say couple things. Number one is you know your body better than anybody else, and if it doesn't feel right, it's not. The other thing is, just like Teressa did her research, all women have the resources to go out. Well, maybe most women have the resources to go out, look online. You can find a lot of information about fibroids online, and do something about your health. And if a doctor's not listening to you, find a doctor who will. And right now, since it's Uterine Fibroid Awareness Month, you can go to our website, the event website, txfam.org, and you'll find out a lot of resources there. And talk to your friends, talk to your family, go to the SelfCare Fair for the month, and find out what can be done about fibroids and how you can improve your health situation.
With the free event you have coming up on July 16th, honestly, I'm a person that likes easy research, but this will be an opportunity for women to come together and really do some research and talk to some other people. That's just my thought process. So, the Honorable Lorraine, can you give us that information again about July 16th?
Absolutely. So it's going to be July 16th, which is the Saturday, from 11 to 3 at the Fannie C. Harris Youth Center, also known as After 8 to Educate, and that is 4212 East Grant Avenue. It's right behind Fair Park, so it is centrally located. And in conjunction with that, people have been giving feminine hygiene supplies to donate for women who need that help. So join us. We're going to have games, vendors, screenings, giveaways, door prizes, you name it, even a DJ and a photo booth. It'll be a lot of fun. And, of course, we're going to have the incomparable Lynne Haze join us.
I am excited because it is really nice that we're out again, that we're able to get together and just really talk about this. And Dr. Sloanum, tell us what the procedure is like so people can understand what we already understand.
The procedure that I do is one of the options for treatment. It's uterine fibroid embolization, where we feed a tiny tube through the blood vessels to the blood supply to the fibroids and block it from the inside so the fibroids die. 90% of the time, that takes care of all the symptoms. That's an option for a lot of women, and for other women, there are other options also. There's lots of available choices out there. I do want to mention that there will be gynecologists as well as my field in at the SelfCare Fair. So you'll have the opportunity to speak to people who provide several different treatment options for fibroids. And you can get information about the fair at txfam.org. That's Texas Fibroid Awareness Month, txfam.org.
Again, it's Fibroid Awareness Month, and the SelfCare Fair is going to be on July 16th at the Fannie C. Harris Youth Center, and that's located at 4212 East Grant Avenue on the Self side. Now, let me ask you this too, Dr. Sloanum. Is there anything else you want to share about this journey of becoming fibroid-free?
I would say that it can be very scary when there's something wrong with your health, but there are people out there who want to help you, and we're looking for you. And if you just look back in our direction, we've got a hand outstretched to catch you. There's people who want to treat your fibroids and give you the best health care available.
All right. And also, what is the website in case someone wants to get more information?
It's txfam.org, TXFAM for Fibroid Awareness Month, txfam.org.
So what about if your cycle is very heavy? Does that indicate to you what size the fibroids are, Dr. Sloanum?
No, it doesn't. That doesn't really tell you. You can have a tiny little fibroid the size of a grape or a peanut. If it's in the right place, it can cause terrible bleeding. Or you can have great big ones that don't cause any bleeding at all. So you do need to be checked out. There's some tests that would need to be done to know for sure.
And
I would say to Teressa, how do you feel after you've had your treatment?
good question.
Ooh, I feel like I got my life back. Everything is working the way it's supposed to. I do not have to worry about, oh my gosh, am I going to be spotting? Am I going to have a heavy cycle? Every single thing that you and I talked about has proven to be true. I can tell a difference in my cycles. Like, everything is just working well. I'm so glad that I had the treatment done. It's something that I continue to spread awareness about in my circle with my friends as Black women, because I know that they experience these things as well. And I'm like, do your research, do your homework, check all your boxes before you just say, I'm going to get a hysterectomy. And I have become, I guess, the poster child for this type of treatment because they see me up and moving around, and I was up within a week, and life is good. I have no complaints.
And you can also wear your outfits with confidence.
Yes, yes.
That's the best part. And that 1 week, a lot of people think it's going to be a long, long process. And really, you can actually, be back in action, back to work in a week. Isn't that right, Dr. Slonim?
That's right. That happened to you, right?
Absolutely. That's why I'm bragging about it.
Same here. I worked from home that entire week, and I was good.
And what's funny for me, one of my girlfriends, she came to pick me up, after the procedure. And another thing, because people are concerned about, pain, I was so up and so alert. My girlfriend said, I thought you were going to be sleeping while I was over here, because she brought her computer. I was up with her the entire time because I felt so good. And Dr. Slonim prepared me before the procedure, and how you take care of yourself, I should say, after the procedure. So that's something that we'll all be able to share on the 16th at this SelfCare Fair. And man, it's going to be great. It's a free community event, feminine hygiene supply drive. Did anybody talk about that?
Brought it up just a tad, but we're excited about all the contributions. We have actually had someone donate quite a few to organizations right here in North Texas. So if you're someone who wants to support that, admission to the event is free, but if you'd like to bring along some supplies to donate, we'll be happy to accept them.
And if you happen to have a substantial donation, if you have like a case of pads, or if you have, a substantial donation, if need be, we can pick them up.
Before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to add, Honorable Lorraine, Teressa Phillips, or Dr. Suzanne Slonim?
I hope to see you at the Fair.
That's good enough for me. I'm Lynne Haze, and that's